You're the life of the party at dinner, but the moment a meeting starts, your heart feels like it's going to explode out of your chest.
You can chat easily, you're totally fine one-on-one, even in small groups. You might even be the outgoing one, the funny one.
But the absolute second you have to present, the moment all eyes are on you, everything just shuts down.
That feeling it's visceral, right? Your chest gets tight, your thoughts just evaporate, and your mind is suddenly a complete blank slate. It's terrifying.
And because those symptoms are so intense, you've probably been told, or told yourself, that you have social anxiety. It makes sense, right? The public speaking part fits perfectly.
But what if that label is actually holding you back? What if the science points to something else entirely, and understanding that difference changes everything?
Okay, so that feeling of being two different people, the confident friend and the terrified performer, that isn't some flaw in your personality. It's actually a massive clue. It's the key to understanding what's really going on in your nervous system.
So here's the crucial point, and I really want you to hear this. The problem isn't defined by the symptoms you feel, the racing heart, the scattered thoughts. It's defined by the pattern. It's all about when those symptoms show up. Think of it like this. Public speaking anxiety is situational. It spikes in one specific context, when you have to perform. Outside of that, you're fine. Social anxiety disorder, on the other hand, is pervasive. That fear bleeds into all sorts of daily interactions, from ordering a coffee to making a phone call to just walking into a room. And this brings us to the most important distinction of all, the one that most advice just completely misses. It's not just about when you feel the fear, but what is fundamentally driving it. With public speaking anxiety, the core fear is all about your performance. You're afraid of failing at the task, of freezing up, stumbling over your words, or looking incompetent. But here's the key. Once the performance is over, that fear pretty much lifts. For social anxiety, the core fear is about yourself. You're afraid people will judge the real you as being fundamentally flawed, or awkward, or just not good enough. That fear doesn't just switch off when the conversation ends. It follows you.
So just take a second and ask yourself that. After you give that big presentation, can you go grab a coffee with a coworker and chat normally? Or does that feeling of being watched, of being judged, linger into your very next interaction? Your answer to that question, well, it tells you almost everything you need to know.
Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, my fear is 100% just about performing, you might be wondering why you keep getting lumped in with social anxiety. Well, this is where the clinical world actually makes things a little more confusing.
You see, in the official diagnostic manual, the DSM-5, there's this little add-on, a specifier, called performance only. What this means is that you can technically get a diagnosis of social anxiety disorder even if public speaking is your only trigger. You can see how that muddies the waters, can't you? And this overlap is exactly why so many people get stuck. You read about social anxiety, you see the part about public speaking, and you think, yep, that's me, even when the rest of the description doesn't fit your life at all. So let's just cut through all the noise. For a moment, forget the clinical labels. The single most empowering thing you can do is focus on your specific pattern. Because once you really understand the pattern, you can finally find the right tools to fix it.
And knowing your pattern builds a really clear path forward. I mean, if your problem is specific to performance, then your solution has to be too. Generic advice just isn't going to cut it.
You've heard all the tips, right? Just practice more. Well, that doesn't really work if your brain is screaming danger every single time. Picture the audience in their underwear. That's just a temporary distraction. It's not a real solution. And hey, taking a deep breath is great, but it's not enough to rewire a deep-seated fear response. These tips fail because they don't get to the root of a situational performance fear. So what does work? A structured, scientifically backed method called gradual exposure. It's like building an anxiety ladder. You start small with really low-stakes actions, like just speaking your presentation out loud to an empty room. Then you slowly, incrementally increase the challenge. You record yourself. Then you present to one trusted friend. Then maybe a small supportive group. Every single step is like a little experiment that gives your nervous system new data, proving that this situation is actually safe. You're not trying to fight the fear. You are systematically retraining your brain. So here's the big takeaway. This is not a character flaw. You're not socially awkward. You have a highly specific fear response that is entirely trainable. It's time to stop labeling yourself and start training for the specific moment that scares you. Visit nerveless.app to build your performance ladder today.